All right, fact check this live stream, and tonight I'm joined by Magoo, Jose, and Tyler, and we are going to talk about the death of the internet. And Jose might recognize that intro music as one of my early attempts to create an intro for him, and that one got denied. But I ended up repurposing the music for my own ventures, so it lives on regardless of his taste or preference for it.
One preference, didn't it get hit? You said it got hit for a friggin' what's it called? A IP.
Oh no, not that one.
Oh no, okay. Because I remember I had to do like 4 iterations before it finally would not flag it. So
no, that one didn't. That one never got a copyright hit. That one just wasn't quite upbeat enough. We found the one that paired well with the dancing girl. And
yeah, I appreciate it. It's been almost 100 episodes with that, so
I'm still rather proud of that one. It's a
no, I dig it. It's definitely kicks ass. I appreciate it.
Keep up. By the way, on the last Prax Ben episode, you shout out Justin for that intro.
I try to do it every one. I try to do like I get really good at doing like a spiel. Like I got a little thing of shit I got to hit at the beginning. You know, my plugs and stuff. And I'm getting better at it. I'm getting more professional as time goes on. But yeah. I finally got professional enough to squeeze his in there. And I'm working on it. I iron out the details as time goes on, but you know.
2022, the year of the more polished and professional Jose.
Yes.
I'm not down for that.
Yeah, I don't like where this is going.
Yeah,
no,
I just hit up Ian Crossland. I'd said Ian Crossland. He may or may not be coming on soon, so I don't know. But I still don't think I'll be getting too polished anytime soon. So and if I do, I'll have my Tower Power Hour outlet to let out the rough edges, you know.
There you go.
Yeah, that's what I've got the morning show for. Which I'm trying to get Clyde to put together actual copy for the Run Your Mouth Coffee ad, so that I can have Jim with his beautiful radio voice read the ad for us, and we can actually be somewhat professional instead of just monkeying around all the time.
If you're looking to me to make your shit more professional, you've done fucked up, son. But I'll be happy to do it.
It's the voice. He didn't say anything else. He just...
Yeah. I'll stick to the script.
All right. So y'all ready to dive into this thing? What did y'all think about the video that I sent that we're going to review today? Or not necessarily review it, but the video that kind of took on the premise of this episode. Where did the rest of the internet go from Truth Stream Media? Which they've got some pretty interesting stuff out there, and the video was incredibly well produced. It was an excellent video. Plus, it really hit on some really relevant and pointed things in terms of the way the internet works, the way the search engines works, especially when you've seen over the last week or so some of the stuff, over the last couple of months, but especially the last week or so, some of the stuff that's coming out of like DuckDuckGo, with talking about they're going to be a little more censored with the content that they allow. So whoever wants to go first, let's kind of dive in and talk about the video itself and some of what you got out of that.
Well, I'll go ahead and start out real quick. I'm a piece of shit. I didn't realize there was a video attached, so I haven't watched it. Yeah, so I'll just go ahead and throw my cards on the table and let these guys look better by comparison. So,
hell yeah!
Wow.
I missed that.
We had homework. We had homework.
Yeah. All right.
This is like the morning show all over again. All right. So, what did y'all think about these articles I sent? You didn't send any articles.
Yeah, I can't read.
Yeah, you said, "Oh no, it was a video, Jose. You should have been fine."
All right. I mean, yeah.
I'll go if you want. If you want some a non-astute. It reminded me of well, first of all, do you want to critique the video? It was well done, but I felt like it had about 10 minutes of talk that she could have cut out. Besides that, it was really well done, and I actually was really going to be prepared, and I was going to do my own sample with Brave browser and DuckDuckGo, and I didn't. But it reminded me of, what is it, the Creepy Line, the Google documentary before the last election. There's a liberal guy that did it. I think Malice even had him on his show. And, it talks about all the shady shit with Google and their search engine. It was fascinating. Jose, if you don't know, basically this lady does a Google search for climate change, just random. And it says like 1 billion plus searches available. So you click and you go to the end, and then there's actually only like 400 because they're all just the curated multiples off the same link of, you know, like CDC and whatever else. So her point is, even though there's all those searches out there, a lot of them are taken down or they're not even available to find. All right, that was interesting. The internet's over, and I was there when it began.
Yeah, I do remember. Like, I don't know when it started. I had the DuckDuckGo browser a while back. I kind of just stopped. I probably should re-upload it at some point. I'm kind of a tech idiot, so I just like once I got a new phone, I just never got it again. But it was like I don't know, the past 5 to 10 years, like trying to search something, especially certain things. I mean, especially considering the things we are into, a lot of those type of things. You'd search it and you'd be like, what the fuck? And it is just a giant pain in the ass. It's really hard to find what you're looking for. And yeah, stuff like DuckDuckGo does definitely come in clutch. So with some of the stuff they're doing now, it definitely is really fucking sketchy what's going on there. But yeah, I don't know. Things shift.
Yeah. So one of the things that she had talked about was like using keyword searches and stuff. And like something that I've noticed because for what I do with this show and what I do with the morning show, like I'll look at real specific articles and stuff. And sometimes they'll mess up and they'll post an article where they actually like tell the truth, or they give a not corporately approved narrative. And when you go to the website, because it'll come up on like an MSN search. And so I like to pull it up on the website itself so that I get the actual article. Well, you'll go to the website and you'll type in the full, like I'll just copy and paste the full headline, and it's nowhere to be found. You have to like scroll out like 7 or 8 pages of search results to get the actual headline that you searched for on the website that it was published on. Like, it's insane. And then if you refresh your web browser, it disappears from the MSN stream altogether. So it's like there's definitely a lot of suppression going on with like as soon as they figure out, oh shit, we shouldn't have posted that, like it just gets memory.
Yeah, not to mention that they, you know, can rewrite their own headline in the same article, so that even if you have the headline copied, you know, in a note section or whatever, and you come back and you search that again, can't find it because they'll try to be the first to put something out. They'll realize later on, oh shit, we fucked up, you know, got the numbers, we counted a little too high, and then they come in and they rewrite their own headline, and like, yeah, good luck finding it's somewhere in there. But
it's just like the Joe Rogan thing.
Yeah. Well, one of the things she was kind of making emphasis on, it was trying to started out with her own website kind of getting throttled, and the way that you're really not able to just randomly find blogs or whatnot anymore. So they're kind of, as you said, memory hold. And you guys have a blog? I'm sure Magoo, you have the Magoo blog. Jose blog. Do people do blogs anymore?
I've got a couple articles up on my Patreon from forever ago, but yeah, that's ancient history.
Yeah, no, I don't write anything. I can barely read. I do talking into a microphone because that's just the easiest path, and podcasts are easier than writing nowadays.
Yeah, and that beautiful radio voice.
Yeah, I will say I wish I had more time to write because it's more of a time thing, and and also it's a matter of, I feel like when it comes to writing, it's harder to bring in the eyeballs. So like it's better to have some sort of established following before you delve into writing, I think, or some sort of platform from which to push it off of. So, I mean, because I started initially, I think I wrote a couple articles before I started podcasting, or maybe it was around the same time. I don't know. I just found I didn't have the time for it because it was very time consuming. I enjoyed it a lot. It was very like immersive. You learn a lot. It's a good way to work through things. But yeah, it's like you don't get any traction whatsoever. It's way easy. I mean, not way easier, but it's easier to make things move with podcasting. But I guess ideally, if like someday in the future I ever get to the point to where I'm not a wage slave or whatever, and I'm like just, you know, mostly live off podcasting or other things as well, sure, I'd totally get into writing. I think writing is really great, but it's a hard game to get into.
So that's how I actually got my start. Was I would write. So I did a little blog. I would do an article about once a week just on random different stuff. Mostly it was on my spiritual journey at that time in my life on my Facebook page. And then when I started really getting into a lot of political stuff and being more vocal about it, I would write these long posts about what was going on, and nobody would read it. It would get nothing whatsoever. And then I could take that exact same post and read it in a video and have like a 5 to 8 minute video of me explaining what I had written this big long thing about, and it would get 200, 300, 400 views. It's like, okay, so writing, nobody reads. Everybody wants to get the quick fix and listen to something or watch something. So I kind of gave up on it, moved on. I do have a Substack that I intend to start writing on at some point in the next couple months, once I kind of decide what direction I want to go with it and all of that. But like, I really like writing, but it just kind of became one of those things that it didn't feel like it was all that rewarding because there was no, like, just nobody read it. But
yeah, you have a lot of that issue. I know a lot of people make fun of podcasters being grifters and shit like that, and there is something to whatever you want to call grifting. But like, I feel like it's even worse with writing to some extent, because like, you're really trying to get your that shit in front of people's face, and they're really like basically trying not to. And it really is a matter of trying to get on certain platforms. So you do then have to start up hitting like certain, I don't know, say like Libertarian Institute or other different platforms to try to get them to carry your stuff. And then, so now you're kind of already e-begging, but it's in some ways it's almost more cringe than the podcast e-begging. So yeah.
Yeah, and the weird thing I've seen, and this is one case, so it's anecdotal, but it still tracks for what we're talking about, is I don't know if you guys are familiar with the YouTube channel, The Hourly Struggle, that's put on by Joshua.
Yeah, I know him. He's good stuff.
Yeah. So he's got 526 subscribers on YouTube, and most of his videos are less than that. But he has 44,000 followers on TikTok. And I'm in a chat with him, and he talks about how the reach on TikTok is just astronomical compared to YouTube, Facebook, podcast, any other normal method, which is kind of odd because, you know, when TikTok came out, that's all we heard was, oh, this is Chinese spyware. And it still very well could be. And those numbers could be bullshit. You know, you never know what you're actually dealing with on the other side of that screen as far as like, you know, are your numbers even real? But I don't know. I just found that to be very odd. 526 to 44,000 is
it also matters what kind of material you're putting out, because I don't know if maybe Josh has shifted up his content recently, but I know back when I was like knew him a little bit more, and also when I was following his stuff, I think I might still be subscribed to him. He's very, when it comes to like YouTube, he's very erratic when he puts out content. He will like, you know, he'll go months without doing it. And I mean, I'm not even like saying that to be bad to him. I'm just saying so far as building a following that's going to have issues. He has great videos. I'll give him that. He's really good at that. He's just not consistent. And then from what I recall, and then I mean, when it comes to something like TikTok, his videos were usually like probably less than 15 minutes long on YouTube. They're more of like a short clips. They're not like these in-depth podcasts. So it's more tailored for something like TikTok. So yeah, I mean, it really is. It depends on what you're doing, but yeah.
So
go check him out, by the way.
Yeah.
One, follow my podcast since we're not grifting. But Jose, you did a whole show earlier this year, Dune. You checked out the movie or the book Dune, but you did it on a audio. That's just, I mean, that's kind of where we're at. So, you know, writing it is, I've even found myself, I don't know if it's all this stuff we have and the ability to, first of all, if instead of writing it, it's much easier to just say it and, you know, put it on a podcast. That's kind of what I wanted to do. And that's where we're at. So it's easier to do that than to writing it and have good sentence structure and all that necessities that follow along with that. So, I've even found that myself, I'm not reading as much, you know, I don't know if my attention span or what have you, but it's, the median of the podcast and the YouTube, you know, it just gets it out there. So tying that into Justin's whole theme here, which is the government well, no, is it the government throttling it or is it Google? And then one of my concepts I want to do later is the entanglement. There's a whole legal aspect of entanglement with government and private facilities, you know, private organizations or what have you, and what constitutes government actors. And, you know, there's a legal standard for that. And I think that the Googles and all these other ones, they have so much interaction and entanglement with the government that it's part of it is that issue, right? They're throttling us for a specific reason, and some of that is, you know, behavior and information. All right, I'd shut down the show too.
No,
No.
Justin looked like he was about to say something.
Well, okay, so I was gonna say something about the talking about the followers and stuff, and is that manufactured? But then like Tyler, because there are accounts that have like literally millions of followers, but they pay for them, and they talked about that in that video. Like there's a lot of stuff that they talked about in that video, like using followers and using that sort of stuff to influence people and to like move society and culture by manipulating and twisting numbers and just making it look like something's more popular than what it actually is. But you know, then to Tyler's point, like, and then we look at that. Okay, so let's kind of let's take it and kind of tie the things together, because it all really does connect. Like it's government using its influence to manipulate numbers and to twist the narrative to create whatever they want to create. I mean, I think it said it in the video. Like they've taken 1984 to a level that George Orwell never could have even imagined.
I want to add to that real quick, because I guess not even necessarily pushback. I mean, it's more like another side of it. When it comes to like stuff like buying your views or buying your followers or whatever, the person with the good eye can tell. Say for example, with YouTube, there's a certain account. I'm not gonna say the name because I actually like them. I don't have any problem with them. I get it. I think they bought subscribers. They also bought Twitter followers, and they've said it openly on streams before, but I'm not gonna just say it just because I don't.
Stapleton.
No, I mean, maybe he did. I don't know. But, and that wouldn't surprise me, but it's someone else. And they've had huge guests, like, I don't know, Ian Miles Chong, Roger Stone, just shit like that. But then you look at the views and it's like ass. And you're like, dude, these are like guests that should be drawing in like thousands upon thousands of views, like even if you're a small show. So I don't know, to some extent you can manipulate things to a certain extent, but I mean, it's kind of like fighting the market. The market will kind of naturally bounce back in one way or another. And if you're a keen eye, you can kind of pick up on like I mean, everyone's been on. We're all Twitter people. We all met on Twitter. You'll see an account that you're like has tens of thousands of views, but then you look at their engagement, it's trash. And you immediately you're like, oh yeah, you know. Go ahead and sorry.
If you watch the video, she talks about some of this where all internet traffic, and I'm trying to remember the number. It was like 60-some% was bots. Okay, so you're looking at 30-some% is only human interaction, like high 30,
yeah,
almost
like
40%.
It was like 61% or 63%, something like that. Like it was low 60s, but still, I mean, it's the majority of internet traffic is bots.
Makes sense. At least on Twitter, that seems to hold true.
Well, like you're right. You can find Twitter.
I had a conversation with Rimzo of On the Run over at the We Are Libertarians Network. Give him a little plug since he pays me to do some work.
Also, co-host for Mark Claire's comics podcast too.
Oh yeah, that's the better of his ventures. But so he and I had talked about like they project that there will be more Twitter followers than there are more Twitter accounts than there are actual human beings on the planet within a couple of years. Which I mean,
so
it makes sense.
Basically, Getter.
It makes sense. I mean, how many of us have alts? I run at least maybe 7 accounts. I'm not exactly sure, but you know, we all have multiple accounts, so that makes sense. But at the same time, like, how many of those are not real people and are actually creating this manufactured influence that we're talking about here?
I got a question. So if you have an alt account and you've been kicked off a few times, so you decided, I'm doing a VPN, I'm going to do this. Are you always making sure you're using the VPN every time? And do you have a different VPN for different accounts? I mean, this could be complicated. I'm concerned here. Anybody? No?
Yeah. Once it gets to that level, that starts to sound like work. And I usually just tap out.
Yeah. More than one account sounds like work. Yeah.
That's when you just let your daughter control your account, I guess.
Yeah. I have one account. My last account got nuked, and like I don't trust tech that much. So like part of me is like, I'm worried that if I made another account, like for example, a Tower Power Hour Twitter account, they've been trying to get me into. They've been trying to not. I guess they haven't necessarily been trying to, but we've talked about getting all of the Tower Power Hour guys to have access to the account to be able, jump in, do things here and there with the Tower Power Hour Twitter account. And I refuse to even go on it because of the fact I'm like too untrusting of tech that I'm worried that if I log out of my account, I may have struggle to get back on. I don't even know my password or the email it's connected with or anything. So I'm just like, I'd rather just leave everything alone and just never get off this account until it gets nuked, and then I'll make a new one instead of having to do all this gay ass alt shit. So that's just because I'm a weird tech person. So
who runs the Power TikTok page?
We have a TikTok?
I don't know.
Oh, I've been saying for a while we should. I downloaded TikTok for like a day because I was like, you know what? I'm gonna get on there. I'm gonna I mostly was like Tower Power Hour because I know my show it probably isn't really that suited for like TikTok, but like Tower Power Hour, if you got clips from it, very suited for TikTok. I mean, I don't know how bad they are about banning stuff. I mean, obviously, you might have to bleep some shit, but like it would be really good on TikTok. But I got on there for like a day, and I was like, this is fucking cancer. And I I get it. Like I would just be in there to drop videos, but I just couldn't even be on there because it was just I felt so fucking dumb swiping through like 15-second long videos or whatever the hell they are. Like I don't know. It feels like that's like what the inside workings of my brain are and trying to organize it. But then you then also add that onto like a fucking app. Like I don't need that. It's like my brain duplicated. I struggle enough to keep my fucking brain together that works like that, as opposed to an additional fucking platform that operates sort of like my brain does. So you know what I mean? Like I mean, maybe I'm the only ADD guy here. So like it's just too much for me.
TikTok is the Adderall of social media. I mean, it's
so I can do TikTok on my desktop because I've got it set where it goes straight to my profile, and then I can search for stuff and like find the videos that I want to watch. But if I try to pull TikTok up on my phone, I close it immediately because it just straight out the gate starts playing shit, and I'm like, I don't want any of this. Go away. So I don't even use it on my phone unless somebody the only reason I have it on my phone is if somebody sends me a TikTok that I can click it and it'll open the app and take it straight to that video. And then as soon as that video is over, I close it because I don't want anything else to do with it.
No, I just realized what it is. It literally is TikTok. Like going through TikTok videos is the exact feeling of the inside of my brain when I was a child and I didn't quite have control of my ADD yet. When it was just like going fucking haywire. That is what TikTok is, like a physical representation, like looking at it. And I hate it. For
me, it reminds me of like when I was on MySpace and then I went to Facebook and I felt like I'd cleansed myself a little bit. I don't know. It was a little more unruly over there. And I felt Facebook was a little more adultish. So I just stay away from TikTok. Although my daughter sends me stuff every once in a while. Your Prax Ben that you had on, he said he had 100,000 some followers. I mean, it sounds like we're doing everything wrong if we're trying to reach people.
Yeah, but I mean, you listen to Magoo. He just pointed out that like the hourly struggle guy, he has however many. Josh Ferguson is his name. I hope he's pretty sure he's announced his last name, so I hope I didn't just like dox him. But I don't think I did. But I'm pretty sure he's open about that. But yeah, you pointed out his subs compared to his like TikTok thing. So it's like, platform to platform. I mean, like I don't really know what all that really means especially for something where it's like a 15-second clips or whatever. How much value can you really extract out of 100,000 follows or whatever the hell? Because you're like, like what content are they really getting out of you? What are you getting out of them? Are these people are really going to offload from that platform to another platform? There's a whole host of things. So it's like, yeah, it sounds, blingy when something like cracks the algorithm. You got names, get a lot of followers or whatever. But I mean, what really does that mean? I don't know. I'm not even really trying to hate. Maybe that does mean a lot. I have no idea. I haven't fucked with TikTok. So.
You have a good point because I wouldn't be successful on TikTok anyway. So I mean, it takes a certain talent of certain type of people to do stuff like that. Is he showing his dick?
No. I mean, I haven't spent enough time on it to tell you 100% yes or no, but I doubt it. I will say this though, is that the engagement on TikTok seems to be even higher than Twitter, because on every single one of his videos, there's just hundreds of comments, and he tries to reply to all of them. And I'm just like, God love you, man. Like you're gonna kill yourself trying to, interact with all these people, and it's just. it's just as toxic and miserable as any other place on the internet, where it's just people constantly shouting, especially if you have it like an opinion-based platform, which we all basically do, where we're not even saying that we're right. We're just saying, I think this is bullshit and this is what I think instead. And then it's just going to get littered with, at least in Twitter, it kind of seems like it's its own like little microverse of, okay, liberty minded kind of people. And there doesn't seem to be a lot of like, wear the mask, take the jab, eat the bug type people coming into most of y'all's replies, that at least that I've seen. They pretty much stay in their own corner. But on TikTok, it's a fucking wide open.
Well, I think it's all how you curate your, at least for Twitter as an example, right? If you're only following, like, so, yes, that's correct. Leighton, I have a few Twitter accounts, and early on, I got on like ground floor when it first started, and I was into cycling and racing stuff, so I had an account just for that, and then I made one just for politics because I just wanted to keep them both separate. And if I post anything like I do on the cycling side that I do on the Twitter, on the Liberty side, I get a lot of hate and a lot of interaction, and I could post all kinds of crazy stuff on the Liberty side, and it's just likes and retweets. So it kind of depends on how you're viewing that, and so maybe TikTok's algorithm itself allows for you to be seen by more people. Or I don't know. Back to the video. I don't want to derail this, but of keeping us on topic. But one thing that made me think about, before the internet, there was, the fall of newspapers and there's all this. And now there's the internet, and the internet's going down, and it's the fall of that. But as long as we are able to innovate and do stuff, who knows what's next? So I get to be fearful and to be concerned about this. But I don't know. I mean, something wonderful that we don't even have a thought of could be coming next, because this wasn't on my radar when I was in high school.
Yeah, no, you're definitely right. I mean, one example, and I'm not even saying this will necessarily play out, is things shift. I don't necessarily think this is the death of the internet or whatever. I think things will shift. Like, for example, I know DuckDuckGo kind of went, bitched out, but the market immediately reacted. I'm like, I don't know what their bottom dollar was, but they got trashed. So immediately people were like, the only thing they had going for them, they threw down the toilet. So basically they left it wide open for someone else to come in and take their place. But the point, what I meant to actually bring up, and I got sidetracked, was the whole Elon thing with Twitter. Like, shit, even something like Twitter that's kind of going down the drain. I'm not saying this is going to happen. I know there's so many people who are like, oh, well, fuck Elon, or he's not going to do this, or that's not going to happen. And you know what? You might be right. But there's also, it just kind of is to demonstrate a point that something like this could happen that then shifts the tides. So, like, yes, you can have things looking bleak in other places, and then, Elon legit, Daddy Elon could come in and fucking save the day for Twitter, and that could shift the things another way, kind of breathe new life into Twitter, and, then, eventually I know it'll probably go back to shit again anyways, one way or another, just judging by how large platforms work. This is just how it works out, but you know what? It might breathe a second life into it, which may like work out in one way or another, and give it time for some other platform to build up in the meantime. I don't know.
If the short history of the internet is any indication, everything eventually turns itself to shit one way or the other.
Yeah, something takes over, and then usually it's something somewhat better in one way or another, or multiple things that are better at different aspects.
Well, there's a couple things that I always think about and bring up, is that technology always seems to be ahead of the curve, especially when it's new, until everyone kind of get their hands around it and narratives get written, and then the regulation, and then the crackdown comes in. It seems to happen that way cyclically, because if you think about how we interacted with the internet 20 years ago, it was nothing but Yahoo and AOL. Who the fuck is using either one of those now? And does AOL even exist? Same thing with like the biggest companies 30, 40 years ago is like Xerox and Kodak. They're out of fucking business. Radio Shack and all these other monstrous, everybody wanted to shit on Walmart in the 90s because it was putting out mom and pop stores, and there's an argument for that, but nobody's even talking about Walmart now. It's all Amazon. Amazon didn't even exist. So just to build on the point that was just made, things come and go, and especially in the technologically, or the Twitter sphere, the internet words, it's always going to be ahead of whatever regulations they're going to have coming down for it, because eventually people are going to integrate and use it, and then it's going to do things that the elite or whatever don't like, and then they're going to find a way or try to work on a way to stop that. And I think that's just what we're seeing now at this moment in time with DuckDuckGo.
Yeah, kind of to build off of, or to make it, I just heard the other day that there's one Kmart store left in the U.S.
No shit.
Well, first of all, why would there be one? But yeah, remember good old days? I mean, they were flying high. So
It's going the way of Blockbuster.
yeah,
I wonder if they're going to make a documentary about the last Kmart.
Right, maybe. So Twitter, I would say if you guys are into investing, buy some puts or maybe a spread, puts and calls, and you get the upside on downside on either one. But I'm actually betting that they're going to turn him down because it's not going to be to their favor, and then the stock's going to take a dump when he liquidates everything.
Well, not only that, but when the shareholders, you know, the whole point of having shareholders is you work on behalf in the best interest of your shareholders and not taking a buy option at an amount that's higher than it's actually evaluated. You're going to piss off your shareholders. And so, again, kind of echoing what Jose said, I have no idea if this is going to be the big daddy Elon coming in, swooping in, saving the internet out it. But it is interesting because it does expose immediately the actual true intent behind those that are in control of Twitter now, with how hard the reading was, and they expose themselves, which is not surprising, and it's more just fun for people like us to look at and be like, this is what we've been fucking talking about, people. This is why they are what up? This is why they are the people's enemy. If nothing else, he exposed that.
Yeah,
I totally agree.
To lay into that point a little bit too, you look at things like, I mean, this isn't the same exact thing with Elon and Twitter, but you look at something like Odyssey and YouTube. The more YouTube fucks around, the more that Odyssey finds out. So, like, I mean, so with something like Elon, like if they wanna fuck around, like it is just sending a signal to the world that, like, in a certain sense, it's a giant market signal to the world that, like, hey, something should fill this slot. And, you know, over time, something very well may. I mean, shit, it'd be awesome if, who knows, maybe social or truth social, whatever the hell Trump's thing is, comes in and saves the day or whatever. I'd be all for it. I don't care. Like, I'm not like big Trump stan, but I'd be all for that. That'd be pretty awesome, in my opinion, if somehow that worked out. Probably won't, but it'll probably be something else. Who knows? But, I mean, point is just more just like stake your, you probably ought to have your feet in multiple places or whatever the expression is.
This could be the Elon Musk, Jack Dorsey brainchild, because Jack seems to kind of be on Elon's side on this. Did you see the he kind of lit in on the Twitter board for for all of their pushback on the whole thing? That we're kind of taking the conversation away from the video, but I mean it's along the same lines because you do see the censorship, you do see the control of the narrative on exactly the same level, just on that, you know, the microcosm of Twitter, that you see it on YouTube and all of the Google, Bing, Yahoo, all of the big search engines. So like it's there, just on a, you know, a more condensed level.
Yeah, and I guess if there's a white pill, if we're gonna get into the pill color denomination talk, you know, one of the biggest complaints I have with centrists is that their patience and willingness to go along with the narrative is quite elastic, and they're willing to go along with things for much longer than any of us would like. And I think that they've been pushed, you know, the narrative, the Overton window, or whatever, has been pushed so far in one direction that pendulum's always going to swing back. Is it going to swing back to where I want it? Probably not. But then again, if I said how far I wanted to swing, I'd probably get nuked off the internet. But I think that this is just a self-correct that, yeah, you got to go through like 7 years, at least in internet time, of it just getting pushed so far one direction that eventually, and another thing is none of us are, you know, in Gen Z, you know, we're all much older than that, I guess, but they grew up in the time of like all this woke bullshit. And from what I've seen, sure, you're always going to have some people that just go with the flow, but there's a lot of resistance with a lot of kids that are just now coming into college that, you know, they think everything's bullshit. And they grew up watching Trump, and say what you will about Trump, but those kids are likely going to be the next Elon Musk, that next Jack Dorsey's or whatever. So again, just echoing the previous point, we have no idea what's coming next. It could be based as hell, and I'm here for that.
So, and to that point, I read an article about this. I don't know. It's been about a year ago, talking about the Gen Zers and like kind of the different mentality, because they've effectively been raised post 2008, like housing bubble crash, recession, everything that's been going on. And so they have a much different view of the world, and to some extent a more pessimistic view of the world. Like for all of us, we range from, I think, late 20s to early 50s. And
who the fuck is late 20s?
Oh, are you in your 30s, Jose?
I have a 12-year-old and a 9-year-old. Yeah, I'm 30.
I mean, that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I mean, for our audience watching too, that's late 20s. I mean, they're all more or less in our age range. I don't think I've got any Zoomers watching this show. So like, but they've come up in this recession era, and so they're a little more pessimistic about things. Whereas, we came up in a time when all of this was new and fresh, and so like, yeah, we saw the .com bubble burst and we saw 9/11, but those were like speed bumps along the way to just this rapid, upward acceleration of everything. Whereas what they've seen is the housing bubble crashed, and everything has been, to whatever extent you want to call it, turmoil for the last 14 years, 12 years, something like that. So like, here we are, and that's the world that they live in. So they look at it a lot different, and they aren't as on board with all the woke bullshit as what a lot of, unfortunately, our pampered, like, pussy ass generation is. I think our generation may be the problem, or at least maybe not us, but the later end of our generation. Hang on, I gotta go shoot a dog. Apparently,
could have sworn it was my
live
dog.
stream it.
Now we must do banter in the meantime.
Well, just remember those same kids that were calling you. Well, I don't know what level of language Justin would let me have on here, but those same kids that were calling you a fag in the Call of Duty lobbies, they're in their 20s now, and I don't think that they give a fuck about all this censorship bullshit.
I mean, you can't really say. Go ahead. Yeah.
Do you want to go? Go.
You go. I don't have anything.
Okay, I'll say that, and then you can make it better sounding. Some of this, though, I've seen this with my own kids, and so you when I grew up, your teachers are respected, and so since you should listen to them and not get in trouble. By the way, I went to a private school and I got spanked in 3rd and 7th grade. Okay, so I was not an obeyer, a listener. So and I was a good kid. I skipped 6th grade because I was just bored. And point is, but you listen to the teachers and they were always right. And I even had problems with my parents about, like, you listen to the teachers. Well, I've made my kids think differently about that. And then you get in the world of Trump and the GOP, at least the right-leaning side, which is always condemning basically public education. You have kids that start to go through school, some of them, I mean, maybe half of them at least, that start to think that the teachers aren't the be-all, end-all, and they're not respecting them as much, which I think is an important factor, a hope, really, when you come out of this. Now, you may have some chaos because of this, but in the end, you may have your unwillingness to just believe everything that's being spoon-fed to you, the news, the fake news, as an example. Well, that's an authority figure. That's your teacher. And when your teacher isn't thought of as super wise, which they shouldn't. If you ever, Thomas Sowell and Walter E. Williams talked about a study once that they did or they were part of, where teachers were the low end of the graduates in all parts of education. So they're not the biggest and the brightest. If you have an engineering degree or something, you may go and teach at MIT, but for the most part, you're the low end. You're a PE teacher. No offense to PE teachers, but you're elementary school teacher. You're just not the biggest and brightest. So those are the ones that are kind of getting through this. Anyway, if it filters in through your kids and they start to push back on this, they start to question it themselves, and the teacher says something, they may go, well, what about this? Well, my kids do that. And then, they get in trouble. But anyway, that's my thought on that.
One of the good things, even in this day and age of, heavily curated search results and faulty research numbers and all that stuff, is that it still hasn't stopped the skepticism. Like the overall trust of official news sources is at an all-time low. I don't think it's ever been lower because, like I said, technology, this is all still pretty new compared to like the old model that we've still been building off of. It's really only been 10 years, maybe, since we've kind of been in this more digital age. And a natural reaction to that is that people just don't trust shit. Like, I don't even know how CNN's still on the air because they don't have, any following to speak of.
A lot of the manipulation we talked about earlier is how they are, because they YouTube will put them in the top of the search results, stuff like that. But to play to my point that I said earlier, it's like you can only manipulate things so much. There is like a thing underlying it, the organic, how things should work, supply, demand, whatever, actual people, physical people be looking for this content that will over time win out. And they are literally hanging by a thread, and all they are doing is being held up by the old guard, really, or I guess the new guard, but the old guard aspects of it, if that makes sense. But yeah, no, they're good.
This CNN Plus experiment, I think, is kind of really telling about, on that topic, is really telling about the legitimate popularity of CNN, because they were it's kind of reminiscent of the 2016 election. If you want to kind of buy into everything's been rigged for decades, and in 2016 they just didn't think there was a reason to rig it, so which is something that I kind of buy into. But with the CNN Plus thing, they were convinced that they were going to have literally millions of subscribers to this, like within months of launch, and they've got less subscribers than most Lions of Liberty episodes get downloads. So like they're sucking pretty hard right now. Not trying to belittle Lions of Liberty. They give me money every month. Thank you very much. I greatly appreciate that. It paid for this whole beautiful setup here. But like, I mean, for a mainstream news outlet to be getting less subscribers than what a random Liberty podcast gets downloads, that's pretty bad.
Here's the thing,
Dave,
if I was seeing Mark Claire videos in my airport terminal, then you can talk shit all you want.
but it's interesting. Dave was just talking about this, or Robbie was, where they were comparing CNN. I think it was one of the shows, and that Dave's show totally outdoes them, right? Just on downloads and views daily. It's just out of control. Yet, what's her name with the short hair, the manly lady there? She gets, 30 million a year, and I doubt Dave does, or Mark Claire.
Oh yeah, Meadows or whatever her name is.
No. What's her name? She's real big on Russia.
Fuck.
Meredith, you got to narrow this down. We got 3 goats. You're asking too broad of questions here.
I know who you're talking about too. I just can't remember her name. She looks like a complete lesbian. I know who you're talking about.
Yeah,
kind of skinny broad.
Rachel Maddow.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. So anyway,
yeah, her and like Joy Reid, that whole thing. I don't know who's watching that shit, but I think the people that are watching it are diehards. Like,
at what point? Yeah, and a lot of airports. At what point does it become like the newspaper, where it's just dying out, and it's Joe Rogan, it's podcast, or are they gonna the FCC is gonna come in and some sort of regulations for that?
I mean, they can only do so much. I mean, not to keep bringing it back to Twitter, but and I guess it kind of ties in what we're talking about. I saw it just I think yesterday. Jack, or maybe it was even today. Jack tweeted something. I can't remember what. Stelter put out some article and like commented on it, saying something about friggin' Tucker Carlson and how all he does is peddle doubt, and like, which, I mean, for one, that's not a bad thing. If you're or doubt, I guess doubt is kind of almost similar to saying being skeptical. I mean, doubt is just kind of putting a negative connotation on it. But anyways, point being, and then Jack replied to it saying something like, and what are you guys peddling? Hope, kind of being sarcastic. Yeah. And he had something ridiculous, like 12,000 likes, insane amount of quote tweets, like retweets. And Stelter's, even with that, like further engagement, had like 250 likes. And like, this was after getting the Jack boost in the engagement. It was insane. And like, I mean, if Jack had never commented, it probably would have been like a sub 200 like tweet, which I mean, for any one of us in here, that's a dope tweet. But for anyone who has over 10, anyone who has an organic following that has over, I don't know, 5 to 10K followers, that is trash. Like my buddy Clint Russell, like he has like 30K followers, and he says all the time that he pretty much deletes any tweet that gets under 100 likes, and it's very rare that ever does. He probably could tweet poop and it would get like 300 likes, like just because of the amount of followers he has. But then I would like
it from my account and my alts. I'd boost the shit out of that.
Yeah, I mean, but yeah, I mean, you look at the powers that be, you know, the Stelters or whatever, and you look at their engagement, and it's trash. But then you have people who have actual organic engagement, you know, like be it Dave Smith, I brought up Clint, other people like that, and you look at their engagement, and it follows, and you're like, well, that's organic. Whereas, you know, like even with the Stelters of the world, and that even with the establishments trying to hold them up, they're still floundering, and it's pitiful. So.
I'm looking at the tweet. It's well, he says Tucker Carlson is always selling the same thing, comma, P Bump says he's selling doubt. And you're right, it's 1,178 likes, a few hundred 136 tweets, geez, 173 tweets, retweets, and Jax is, you know, triple. I mean, it's 42,000 likes. It's not a huge engagement, but you're right. He should be bumping him up, and that's pathetic for a, you know, be all end all CNN ombudsman type guy. So
yeah. Well, and the really crazy thing is if you go through and you look at those quote tweets, I'd say 70% of them are people making fun of him, or people who are reposting what he said to mock him or something like it. So even that engagement is kind of it's kind of misleading, because if you just look at it and it's like, oh, he's got all these like retweets and quote tweets, and then when you go start looking at the quote tweets, it's like everybody's just bagging on this dude left and right. That's fucking hilarious to me.
Well, I just clicked on it, and it's the first one said, "The fuck did I see?" The next one's like, "Look at this potato head." It's you're right, it's bad.
Yeah,
and these aren't just the people that I follow that are like quote tweeting it saying that. Like, it's just like random ass accounts that I've never seen before. Like, it is really hilarious. That's anytime I see one of those and I see that it has like a really high, like if it has like a mediocre like number, but it has a really high retweet, I'm like, oh, they are totally going after this motherfucker. Like, this is gonna be good, and it always is. Like, it never disappoints.
Yeah, it's fun.
Do you follow you guys are more Twitter appropriate than me. I mean, into it than me. So is the ratio, is that really a huge notifier that you just suck? Because I'm sure I ratio myself all the time. And is that just a big indicator that tweet sucks? Or
well, yeah, the proper reaction to a ratio is seppuku. So yeah.
Of course.
Oh, sorry.
But it's you know, because bots can automatically like stuff, but I don't know how much bots are messaging or commenting, and if they are, they're usually like 7 words, and it's just quick, and it's a one-liner, and you can tell that there's no thought in it. It's just like, oh, totes agree, oh my god, so amazing, you know, whatever kind of dumb shit. But when there's 3 times as many or more comments than likes, and they're all like, go fuck yourself, you fat piece of shit, it's like, I'm pretty sure that was a person. I don't know if they're putting bots out there that's gonna be talking shit against the narrative, but who knows? You know, maybe bots are getting more based.
We can hope.
Okay, we talked about this on the morning show a few weeks ago, maybe a couple months ago at this point. Have y'all seen the replica thing?
Replica? What's that?
Explain.
Okay, so replica is basically, it's like your imaginary best friend, only it's actually an internet imaginary best friend that you get to tailor and create, and then you can just like talk to it, and you have like text conversations back and forth. There's also a lot of examples, hilarious examples of people training their replica, because it functions as an AI, so it just has a more or less natural conversation. But people are like coaxing it into becoming incredibly like alt-right or becoming really neo-Nazi-ish. And then there are other things where like dudes are creating like a replica girlfriend and then just like verbally abusing it over and over again. Like it's pretty hilarious. But
Just do that in real life.
You haven't
Now
seen
I'm
this
there.
thing?
No.
Do we lose him? Oh, there we go.
Justin, are you a bot? Please respond.
Did I cut out?
For like a split second.
Yeah.
Well, I do live like out in the middle of nowhere with some pretty sketchy internet, so that happens from time to time.
I think you got your point.
So is this like the movie? Is it Her? Is that the AI?
Yeah,
No?
yeah, I remember that.
The house was all AI.
Scarlett Johansson, yeah, friggin' Joaquin Phoenix. I gotta say, he actually did a really good job performing in that movie. Although it was a very weird, creepy premise, but yeah, that's all I have to say on that. Yeah. I
mean, AI, even video games. Like I used to play them in college, and I don't anymore because, for whatever reason, I brag about my life that I have one rather than I don't. But people, I just kind of moved away from that. And so this AI stuff, while I'm still involved in technology, it just doesn't interest me as much. And I think it's more of, sad men that can't get laid, perhaps. That's what drives a lot, though, right? The market wants to make some lonely guy not lonely, and he's got money sitting in his mom's bathroom or bedroom or basement. I don't know where. So that could be what drives a lot of the AI. So to me, it's not as interesting, or I'm not as interested in it, but I see the downfalls of that because I do have sons, and I'm a little concerned about them.
I don't know. I'm not too worried about all that nonsense so far as like that side of things. Because to be honest, as misogynistic as this may sound, if you're at a point where you're genuinely worried you're going to be taken over by robots, well, maybe step up your fucking game. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
like this is, if anything, we've been complaining about for decades about how like women have it so easy, and you're like, okay, well, fucking reverse Uno here. So like, what are you going to do? Like, you got to bring something to the table here. So. It is what it is. I mean, yeah. I say bring it on. I mean, I'm already married, so I don't care. But
yeah, or integrate it into your own thing, and be the master of your own technology.
All right, so I'm gonna bring it back around to the original video content that we have been talking about, and I'm actually going to pull it up. And by God, if I have any amount of luck whatsoever, my janky ass internet will cooperate with me, and I'll actually be able to play this little portion of the video, and it'll come through well, and you'll all see it and hear it. So
I like your subtle plug for Tyler.
Mm-hmm. I was going to say something about that too.
I just happened to have been watching it earlier. Here we go. Let's see how this works out.
What my question is leading to is help us understand where is the future of search going.
Well, when you use Google, do you get more than one answer? Of course you do.
Yeah, of course.
Well, that's a bug.
Yeah.
Because we should be able to give you the right answer just once. We should know what you meant, and we should never be.
So who owns into?
I thought that was kind of scary. Like, I mean, that is an incredibly, like, going beyond anything Orwell could have imagined. Like, we don't want you to use your search engine to find all of the possible answers. We want to give you the right answer. Who determines what the right answer is? I mean,
Google.
I'm gonna need more context here. Who are those people? Do you know?
That was the Google CEO or one of those guys, right?
Yeah. I mean, he was like an early CEO of Google.
Okay, because I could see a smooth brain take. I mean, it is definitely concerning, but I could see like an uneducated take, or like someone who's trying to look smarter than they are have that take of like, well, we should be able to process all the information and give you exactly what you want. It's like the idea that you would ever be able to get to that point to where you could, off of a few keywords, be able to completely determine. I mean, maybe you could say that's part of why they get your information from, Facebook, whatever, etc., to be able to tailor it specifically to what you want. But yeah, it's a little ridiculous. I mean, I guess to give him the benefit of the doubt, maybe that's kind of what he meant, that we're going to take in so much information from so many different places that we'll know exactly what you mean, and maybe not necessarily this. I mean, that is Orwellian in a way, but in another way, it's not the kind of Orwellian we're getting at, to where it's like, you know, we're giving you your answer. It's more like he could be saying that what we mean is if we get enough information to input in, that we can give you exactly what you want, and you shouldn't have other. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's just me steel manning it, I guess, a little bit. But it definitely, I lean towards he's being creepy.
Yeah,
So.
the inferred goal that he's mentioning is that we will know you better than yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And so then that kind of you know, takes away any responsibility of the individual, and it becomes more dependent, which obviously we're all very technologically independent, more so than we ever have been. And they are there to provide that service, which now becomes, you know, it's almost a utility at this point, which is exactly what they want. I mean, what better business model could you have than to ingratiate yourself into society to where they can't function without you? And anytime that happens, and there's that level of power, control, and manipulation, I mean, the normal skeptics, and there's always going to be skeptics, are immediately going to be pushing against that.
Yeah. So earlier today, I was on with on Outlawed Thoughts. It's Chumley or Leighton Radner's podcast, and I made this, and it ties in here, which is in the Anarchist Handbook. You know, Jose did this one. Hasness, right? In his book, he's a law professor, and for me, as when I went through law school, he brings up an issue, and there's someone on the left and someone on the right, and they can both find all the research to support their point of one way or the other. So the problem with him is there's not a definitive answer for everything. You've got multitude of answers. You've got two sides of the issue all the time that you can justify. It's a little obviously creepy when, you know, one person on the internet is basically saying, we're going to find that one specific answer. Well, I'm not AI myself. And as an example, as we're talking here, I'm on Twitter, and someone posts this thing. Let's see how Google would answer this with one answer. How can I get my boyfriend to stop digging his tunnel? I mean, is there one right answer to that important question that young lady is posing? I don't think so.
Well, that's like, I was trying to think of it. And like, typically when I search for something, I'm not looking for a specific thing. Like, if I am looking for a specific thing, then I copied and pasted the thing that I'm looking for. But even then, like, it'll give you an arrangement or an arrangement of different things related to that thing. And I usually end up looking at half a dozen of those. Johnny and I when I recorded today's Peddling Fiction with him, I have closed some out. I realized I had gotten out of hand. But at the time, I had 26 different tabs open for stuff that I had, articles I was looking at, news sites I was perusing, videos I was watching. Like, whenever I type in a search on one of these search engines, I'm not looking for any one particular thing. Like, who is looking for that one answer? Like, you're looking for the things that might get you to an answer that's somewhere out there that you're searching for. Like, that's why, you know, when they say they're going to give you the singular answer to your question or to your search, like, that's why that kind of freaks me out a little bit, because I don't know what the top 5 answers are to my search.
Yeah, unless it's, you know, how many Holocaust victims, et cetera, et cetera. Even then, we don't know.
Here's 6 million articles.
We know the exact number to a T, perfectly rounded out. Don't worry about it.
But if you go to page 49 of the search results, it tops out at about 500.
By the way, when we first were talking, I did her sample with Google, the search thing with climate change, and she's exactly right. That's exactly what happened. You go to the next page, so you get to the end, and it's only 420 results that they end up putting up out of so many billion. I tried DuckDuckGo, but they don't have that search number, but you could keep going more results. And I definitely didn't go billions before I got to the end. So it's kind of interesting.
And similarly with Brave, I have Brave on my laptop and on my phone. And I tried it on Brave's beta search engine, and it was only one page, and it was maybe 50 results, and there wasn't even a second page or any of that. And I was looking at what she was showing as far as her search results on Google, and they were mostly the same. So I know a lot of people are championing the Brave search engine, but maybe it does better on some searches than others. But it's definitely not there yet. There's no silver bullet to answer the Google question.
I'd say I am willing to give Brave something of a pass at this point because it is more or less in its infancy. Can you even get Brave on the web browser yet, or is it still exclusively on mobile?
Oh no, I had it on my laptop well before I had it on my phone, and I've been using Brave for at least 2 years, maybe longer, and it was all a result of when Trump was in office and how everything was getting nuked and suppressed, and words were getting changed, and even news clips and audio clips of him were highly curated. And, I was just naturally curious, and, I guess that's what puts me in the liberty sphere is that I'm a constant contrarian, skeptic, whatever you want to call it. So I was like, this can't be right. And I heard from another podcast that was talking about, oh, dude, if you're not on Brave browser yet, then what the fuck are you doing? And that was the first I'd ever heard of it. So I downloaded it immediately. And to this point, much like DuckDuckGo was 10 years ago, it's great. But just as anything will grow and get big enough, eventually it will have to likely succumb to some level of pressure.
Yeah, I've been using it for a few years as well.
Yeah, I like the Brave movie. It was pretty good. That's all I have to say.
But did you get any Brave tokens from it? I
don't even know. I think so. I've never checked.
I do. I think I had posted up to Justin. I've got like $40 I've made over the last 2 years or so using it. So
the guy that I do the morning show with, Clyde, he swears by Brave. He's been using it for some years now, and he said he's made about $500 total on the tokens and stuff. Well, I mean, that's he is a like true grifter. Like y'all have no idea. So like that makes sense. He's playing, like he's figuring out any way he can to game the system and maximize off of it. He said that like anymore just going through and clicking on ads doesn't get you as much as what it used to. So that tells you everything you need to know about the way he's been running this thing. But yeah, so I mean it does have its own, like you can get a VPN through it. It has its own crypto that you can set up. So there are a lot of interesting options with Brave. And as soon as I saw the thing come out about DuckDuckGo, like I'd heard it, and I knew DuckDuckGo was going in that direction for the last few months. But as soon as it like really became prevalent, like this wasn't just like rumblings and like little bullshitty stuff, but like they're for real going the way of a Google or a Bing. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and download the Brave browser, and I have been infinitely more pleased with it than I was with the standard Safari on my phone and any other browser I've used. Like on the desktop, I'm still trying to wean myself off of Microsoft Edge because I do have a lot of the stuff that I do for all the different podcasts kind of built into Edge. So it's tough to break away from that just because of the ease for work related stuff. But I'm trying to move in that direction.
Yeah, it's actually pretty easy. I think it took me maybe an hour or two at most. Because all of my saved tabs or whatever, I just opened up both browsers, same screen, and just copied over the URLs, set it up identically, deleted Safari, and never looked back. So you can probably get it done in an afternoon, easy.
Well, it's based on Chrome. Sorry to get technical here. It's based on the Chromium. It has a Chromium background, which is Google, all their stuff. So if you use the Google search, Chrome, it'll actually sync everything directly over without any problem. You just kind of log it and boom, it's there. So for me, it was super easy. Yeah. Anyway, that's where the new internet is going.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
so
guys,
there's still hope out there. Sorry.
I want to be respectful of y'all's evenings. I know it's for Jose and Magoo, y'all are over on the Eastern time zone, so it'll start getting late here for y'all pretty soon. And then Tyler, it's still daylight over there, so I don't know
still
what
sunlight out there.
Yeah, you still got time to drink, but
he can still go get a bike ride in.
I could, except for I've been pounding this stuff.
That's the best time to do it, and then you have to be more focused so you don't fall over and
last year I actually I drank a little bit and then decided to go do a quick ride, and I almost fell in front of these girls. Long story, it was embarrassing. Hit my nuts on the top tube, but it won't happen again.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Well, guys, give all your plugs and everything, and I appreciate y'all joining me for this. I think we covered a lot of ground, and I think we talked about stuff that, like, especially for like the average person who may not think about this sort of stuff on a regular basis. Like, I've actually already gotten a couple messages from people who have ducked in and watched for 20, 30 minutes just to see what we were talking about, who said, like, this is stuff that I never would have thought about and didn't realize was going on. So, like, we are at least talking about stuff that, is getting some attention. Hopefully people start waking up to this and paying attention to this stuff more going forward. So I really appreciate y'all joining me tonight. Give your plugs and we'll get out of here.
You guys go.
All right, I'll go first since I'm least significant. Tyler Yonke, Tyler Janke on Twitter. Watch these guys' shows, all of them. Magoo, you just did something. Is it Dexter related, your last episode?
Yeah, I
okay,
think so.
I'll check it out. Jose is great. Huh?
Like the show, Dexter?
Yes.
Oh, are you okay?
The title
are you, like,
was
covering the new. Oh, okay. I was like, are you
the
covering
title?
the
title
new
related. I'm teasing, so you go check out Magoo's show, and then you find out yourself. Check out Jose's. I got a podcast review show, and obviously Justin's the king of edits and everything for everybody. So I appreciate you having me come on. Just tell everybody the internet's not going to be over next week. Al Gore would never let that happen, so we're all good. And thank you, Justin.
Yeah, you want to go ahead, Magoo? You can go.
Sure. Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter if you hate yourself at Magoo_ITR. The ITR stands for Ignore the Rant, which is a silly, stupid little podcast I do with two of my buddies who are not in the liberty sphere whatsoever. And so every episode I kind of have to tamper myself back. I almost have to neuter myself on my own show. But we have fun. This last episode called Dark Passenger, we kind of go through a tale of one of the co-hosts of mine who likely gave an Uber ride to a possible murderer and human trafficker of his own daughter. Not too sure about it. I think we find out in the middle of his story. So if you want to hear about that and some more retarded conspiracy theories about mass shootings and other dumb shit, you can check us out on all of the podcast catchers.
Not quite the same thing, but when I was in high school, actually, it might have been a little bit after high school. I'm pretty sure I was insanely drunk, stoned, and maybe high on other shit out of my mind. And I gave hookers a ride, thinking they were just, women on the side of the road who needed a ride somewhere. And I remember the whole time thinking they made weird comments, like implying, like, "What are we gonna do?" And I was just kind of like, "Where the fuck do you need to go?" And they're like, "Well, where do you want to go?" I'm like, "What do you mean where I want to go? Where do you need to go? Like, you're on the side of the road. You need to pick up. Like, where are we going?" Like, and I still don't know if they were hookers or not. But like after the fact, I remember like a day later, be like, holy shit, they were hookers.
Did you end up dropping them off at some like cheap motel and they stood there waiting for you to get out of the car and then you just drove off and they were really disappointed?
It was somewhere weird like that. Yeah, it was something.
I hate to break it to you, but it was homeless trannies. That's what it was.
Yeah. That is what hookers basically are. So
I know.
Potato, tomato, man. Shit. Sound the same to me.
Thing. All right, yeah, I have the No Way Jose show. You can find me on YouTube, all the major audio podcatchers, Odyssey as well. I don't really have any like episodes to push right now. I've been doing more theory shit. Been plugging New Libertarian Manifesto live readings with Sal right now. We're on the critique portion, so we're covering the Rothbard one right now, which is fun. But it's also like weird because like we vehemently disagree with everything Rothbard's saying, and I hate that down to my core because I usually agree with everything he says. So it's like I don't know what's going on here, and it hurts me to my core. But whatever. We're making it together. We're making it through. So. To be fair, though, for context, if people don't know, in New Libertarian Manifesto, the book for agorism, whenever Konkin made it, he sent out copies to multiple big thought leaders, and Rothbard was one of them, asking for critiques. And so, to be fair to Rothbard, I don't think he thoroughly read it or thoroughly grasped it because it was just some shit someone sent him and said, "Hey, please." Like, imagine if someone sent you a book and was like, "Please critique this." You'd be like, the fuck?
Hey, here's my Liberty mixtape. Will you take a listen?
Exactly.
You said audiobook, right? You're basically describing my podcast.
Yeah. Yes. So if someone did that to Rothbard, he'd be like, all right, I'll skim. I'll leaf through some of the chapters and I'll give you my thoughts. So yeah, I can see why you maybe fucked up a little bit. All right. Yeah. According to Chumley, I have Al Gore coming on soon, so that's cool. So, but yeah, that's it. That's my show. So,
well, thank you all for joining us tonight. I will be back next Monday. I am going to have so his name on Twitter. This is his name on Twitter. It's A Blackman, A Black Man. He and I are going to have a conversation on Sunday afternoon. We're going to talk about race and sexism and all of that fun stuff. But we're going to do it in a. He has a YouTube channel. He's legitimately black. So we're going to have a conversation about race and sex and all of that fun stuff. And we're going to have some hard conversations that people aren't ready to have. And I'm really looking forward to that one. I think it's going to be an extremely
some bell curve stuff, huh?
I think it's going to be a really good conversation. Just from he does some like short videos and stuff on his YouTube channel, and from the stuff that he talks about and the stuff that he tweets, I'm really excited about it. So check that out. That'll be I may even do it as a live stream on Sunday afternoon if he's up for it. Otherwise, it'll be out on Monday morning. So check that out. Hope everybody has a great rest of your evening, a great week, and I will see you on Monday, unless you come check me out on the morning after, tomorrow morning or Friday morning, because there is always a lot of monkey business going on there. Have a good one, everybody.